KP. Now, I told you KP is for gases. It's the same as KC. There's no difference except for a few minor steps that would be extra. Remember this, that pressure is a term that only matters for gases. Because if a solid is, I mean, if there's more solid created, less solid created, nothing happens to the pressure that it's exerting. And it doesn't exert pressure in the first place. Like if there's a solid in the middle of a container, like there's a beaker, a closed container, and there's a solid in the center, right? Now, the solid is not going to be creating pressure. The only place it's going to be creating pressure is over here. And that's it. I mean, its particles would not be hitting. I mean, there would be no pressure because of this over here. So, I mean, solids, liquids, etc. They don't uniformly exert pressure on everything. Okay, and plus the pressure doesn't even depend on the quantity of the solid. Like if you have a narrower base, like if you had a thinner base, due to gravity, the pressure would be higher. It's the same number of particles, but the pressure is going to be higher at the base. So the thing is that it's only for gases. When we talk about pressure, it's only for gases. Now, what is KP? That concentration of a gas, we've already stated that concentration of a gas is directly proportional to pressure. If you have more gas, then you definitely have more pressure. So let's say you have three particles in a container. So the concentration is less moles per dm cube. So they hit the walls of the container randomly. They go and they exert a certain amount of pressure. Uh, so the concentration is low, the pressure is low as well. You add more particles, then these particles would randomly go as well and collide with the walls of the container, and they're going to exert an even higher pressure. So there's more concentration of a gas, there's higher pressure. So basic kinetic particle theory, more gas particles, more random collisions with the walls of the container, and the pressure would be exerted almost evenly. Like it won't be that one side of the container more particles would be hitting that side. They would be on average hitting all of the sides pretty much evenly. So the pressure would be uniform across the board. So more random collisions with the walls of the container. Now I'm going to move to the expression for Kp. Like Kc was that if you have N2 and you had 3H2 and it's in equilibrium with 2NH3. Now Kc was that you took the concentration of NH3 gas, you squared it, product over reactants. N2 concentration and H2 concentration is going to be cubed. So this was your Kc expression. Uh, and this only applies to a reaction that's already at equilibrium. That the amount of NH3 is not changing, the amount of N2 and H2 is not changing. So the ratio of the products and the ratio of the reactants, it remains products over reactants. It pretty much remains constant. Now Kp would be similar as well. I mean, it's pretty much the same expression, except square brackets represents concentration. Now you're going to write PNH3, which is going to be, it's going to be PNH3 squared divided by PN2 and multiplied by PH2 cubed. Okay, so use use round brackets, because square brackets in chemistry they represent concentration. Use round brackets if you need to, and pressure would simply be written as P. And so it's pressure due to NH3 gas, pressure due to N2 gas, and pressure due to H2 gas. And you can find the unit as well. Now pressure units are, there could be multiple pressure units, like sometimes a question has atmospheres being used, sometimes it has pascals being used, sometimes it has kilopascals being used. Now you don't really need to actually go about converting the unit. It's kind of pointless to actually convert the unit, and they don't really want you to convert the unit. If the question is in atmospheres, just keep going with atmospheres. If the question is in pascals, keep going with pascals. If the question is in kilopascals, then do all your calculations in kilopascals. Achha, so it's pressure of the products divided by the pressure of the reactants. So if there's more NH3, then NH3 gas is going to, obviously, I mean, if there are more NH3 particles in the container, then obviously NH3 particles would have more random collisions with the walls of the container. And NH3 gas is going to exert a much greater amount of pressure. If there is less N2 gas in the container, then N2 gas would not hit the walls of the container that frequently, because there wouldn't be any particles. So there would be very few collisions of N2 gas particles. Let's assume there are very few. So the pressure exerted by N2 gas would be very less. So pressure exerted by individual gases, that would vary depending on their concentration. More particles per unit volume, more pressure. Less particles per unit volume, less pressure. So at equilibrium, what happens at equilibrium? At equilibrium, the number of particles, they stop changing, because the rate of forward reaction and the rate of backward reaction is equal. So there wouldn't be any change in the pressure that is being exerted by NH3. I mean, although the forward reaction would be happening, more NH3 gas would be constantly produced, but at the same time, backward reaction would be happening at the same speed. So if there's any extra NH3 that's produced, the same gets consumed back again. So the net quantity of particles of NH3 would remain constant, which is why the pressure due to NH3 is not really going to change if the reaction is at equilibrium. Okay. Achha, is this clear so far? Yes or no? Is this clear?
Yeah.
Achha, the next is, Usman, is this clear? Achha, so the next is, okay, I'm going to find the unit. The unit is let's say the values are given in atmospheres. So it's going to be atmosphere squared, and obviously every expression is going to have a different unit. Atmospheres multiplied by atmosphere cubed. So it's easy to simplify. This would become atmosphere minus 2, right? Because it would be 1 over atmosphere squared. So it's going to become atmosphere minus 2. I said then next one. Next is, I mean, let's talk about another expression just to write the Kp expression. Uh, let's talk about SO2. I mean, it's a gas. I said this one. Write the expression for Kp. The Kp expression would be the pressure due to SO3 gas molecules. That's going to be squared. The coefficient would become the power. divided by the pressure due to SO2, and that's also going to be, it's going to be squared multiplied by the pressure due to O2. So that's your expression. And if somebody asks you what, like the pressures are given in atmosphere, you find the units. It's going to be atmosphere squared divided by atmosphere squared into atmospheres. So again, it's going to come out to be 1 over atmosphere. So it's going to be atmospheres minus 1. This is what you're going to get. Okay. So is the first thing clear? We're done with the expression, right? Everyone, is this clear? Okay.
Yes.
Charity, not much difference from, not much different from what we studied earlier. The other thing is, the other thing is, like let's talk about the same reaction. I mean, I added a bunch of SO2 molecules in a container. I added a bunch of O2 molecules, and they started reacting. They started producing SO3 molecules. And when SO3 got produced, a reversible reaction, a reverse reaction also started. That the SO3 started to break down, and eventually a time came when the rate of forward and the backward reaction, it kind of became equal. So let's say the pink ones are SO2 molecules, the green ones are O2 molecules, and the what other color do I have? The red ones are SO3 molecules. So here's how the container started off at the beginning, like a bunch of SO2 gas molecules were added to oxygen gas molecules. Now they started reacting with each other. Two SO2 molecules reacted with one O2 molecule to form two molecules of SO3, right? So some forward reaction started. Some more forward reaction started. A few more SO2 molecules got produced. And then at that point, the rate of forward reaction and the backward reaction, it kind of became equal. Like every second, if the reaction went forward, it also, some other molecules, they broke down, like SO3 molecules, the red ones, they broke down and produced SO2 and O2 back again. So now it's at equilibrium. And the number of particles are not changing. The reaction is still going on. But the net quantity, I mean, the reaction is still going on, which I can show you that two SO2 molecules and one O2 molecules, they react to produce two SO3. But at the same time, somewhere else, two SO2 molecules, SO3 molecules, they collide, bump into each other, and they break down and they produce two SO2 molecules and one O2 molecule back again. So the net result is zero. Not, I mean, the net quantity. I mean, they're changing, but the reaction is happening, but the amount or the quantity of the reactants and products is not changing. So we have reached this point. Now to find the value of Kp, you would need to, what do you need? You need, we already wrote down the expression for this, which was partial pressure of, it was pressure due to SO3 squared. So how can you find, I mean, now there's this problem that, let me write the expression first. So now the first basic problem is, how do you actually figure out the pressure because of SO3 gas, which is, SO3 gas is the red one. I mean, these are the red gas particles, right? Four of them. So how do you, I mean, there's no device that has been invented that goes into a container and figures out the pressure that's being exerted by this gas alone. Like if I attach a pressure gauge to this container, then the pressure gauge would actually measure the pressure of the whole thing, the whole container, like all the particles bumping into the walls of the container on average. So it's going to find the total pressure. So you always usually find the total pressure, and let's assume that the total pressure is 2 atmospheres. It's kind of impossible that there's a device that can track where this red particle is going and how much force it's exerting on the walls of the container and uh, what pressure is. I mean, and it can ignore all the other particles. So that's kind of impossible. So the thing is, you can't really directly find the pressure due to SO3 only. Okay, that's kind of impossible. What you only find is the total pressure of the container. That's the combined pressure of all the gases. Of all the gases combined, that's the pressure of the entire container. That is the one that can be actually measured. So how do you figure out? So this is known as partial pressure. How do you figure out the pressure due to SO3? So the formula is you use mole fraction multiplied by total pressure. Okay, so this is an additional step which you did not do in KC. So this is one additional step that has to be done. That has to be done over here. And I'll explain what this step is. Like over here, how many particles do you have? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. So in total, 13 particles are randomly colliding and they're exerting a total pressure, like a combined total pressure on the walls of the container of 2 atmospheres. So, how do you figure out the pressure because of SO3 only? Now, go and SO3 is the red ones. SO3 is how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So, you're going to use mole fraction. You're going to use ratios like 5 particles out of 13. So, the pressure exerted by SO3 is going to be proportional to it. Like if 13 particles are exerting 2 atmosphere pressure, like all of them combined, they're exerting it, and the pressure gauge shows a pressure of 2 atmospheres. So how much would 5 particles? So it's simple ratios. So you can use mole fraction. So 5 out of 13 into total pressure, which is 2 atmospheres. So is this point clear to everyone? Minahil, Hiba, Rida, Sanjita.
Yes.
Okay, so what you need is what you need is mole fraction. You need to know how many moles of different substances are actually are actually present in the container. Okay, they're not going to change, but they can be found out. I mean, you can actually do lots of things to actually find that out. I mean, we did one question where we were titrating it with NaOH. So there are many different ways to actually figure out uh, like how many moles of oxygen gas there are, how many moles of SO3 there are. So those things can be found out by doing some chemical reaction. Once you've found the moles of each gas in the container at equilibrium, you can use mole fraction and to total pressure, and that will give you what is the value that you're getting over here? Can anyone calculate?
0.769.
Because this one is 0.769. TK looks fine. Uh, Atmospheres. TK, if he's talking in terms of atmospheres, keep going in atmospheres. Similarly, we can find pressure due to SO2. Now for SO2, how many how many pink dots can you see? This is SO2. Are there three? So if 13 particles in total, they exert a pressure of 2 atmospheres, so how much would 3 particles exert? So it would be 3 divided by 13 into 2 atmospheres. What's the value to this?
0.461.
Acha, so it's 0.461 atmospheres. And the last one is the pressure due to oxygen. That's the last one. Which is going to be where's oxygen? The green one. 1, 2, 3, 4. How many? 5. 5 to the 5 plus 1, 6. So it's 6 out of 13. What is the value?
0.923.
This one is 0.92. That's 0.923 atmospheres. Now, uh, now you have so this is your additional step that has to be done. Okay, like you're going to get questions where you would have to do the whole like these questions over here. Where did the question go? Like this question over here. I mean, you might be asked. I mean, these are gases, right? So at the end of the day, um, you might have to do all the working like this, and you would find the equilibrium moles. But once you find the equilibrium moles, then there's this additional step that you have to do where you have to calculate the partial pressure for each gas and its contribution in the pressure. That is one additional step that has to be done, and only then can you now what we can do is we can substitute these values over here in Kp, which is going to be PSO3 squared, so that's 0.769 squared. Quickly try and at the bottom it's going to be 0.461 squared. Multiplied by the O2 pressure, which is 0.923. Nee, who said O2 is 0.923? Nee, it is 0.923. Yes, it is. ठीक है. Did anyone try and calculate this? 3.266. So 3.266, and what's the unit? It's ATM minus 1. Okay, so remember this this additional step that has to be done when when trying to calculate. This is the additional step that has to be done when you're trying to calculate this. So we're going to do one more question. Sanjita, you can actually, but the thing is, not over here. Like everything would change. I mean, you have to change things right at the beginning. Okay, you can't change this at the end. The value would be different. Okay, I mean, if you want to convert atmospheres to pascals, although you shouldn't do that. Okay, no one is going to ask you to do that. If the question is atmospheres, keep going in atmospheres. But if you for some reason had to make the conversion, then start at right at the beginning, like there's 2 atmospheres, because this Kp value would be affected by that. Because 1 atmosphere, it's given in the data booklet, it's 101,325 pascals. I said let's do another short question, and I'm going to mix it up with the previous ones. Like there's N2O4. Let's say there's 0.5 moles of N2O4 are heated in a container. And at equilibrium, 0.6 moles of NO2 are present. So that's at equilibrium. So it's N2O4 in equilibrium with 2 NO2. Okay, that's the equation. Let's assume that's given. As a first thing, you have to find the equilibrium moles first. So what you have to find is that the what you need to do is you have to find Kp. If total pressure at equilibrium is let's say 2 atmospheres. Like once equilibrium has been reached, the total pressure is 2 atmosphere at equilibrium. Now you're going to start with the first thing, the whole table thing. So you have to figure out uh, you have to figure out what's the situation at equilibrium. How many moles do you have? So initially you had, what did the question state? You had zero point 0.5 moles of N2O4 and 0 moles of no NO2 was added. Then they opened the container and they found out, like at equilibrium, they found out how many moles? 0.6 moles were present at equilibrium. So 0.6 moles are present at equilibrium. And that means what? That means initially there was no NO2, now 0.6 moles. So that definitely means 0.6 got produced. Now to produce 0.6 in the reaction, 2 ratio 1, 0.3 must have reacted. Like it's 2 ratio 1, right? So 0.6 are getting produced. So over here you must have 0.3 getting reacted. So what do you have left at equilibrium? You started off with zero point 0.5, zero point 0.3 got reacted. So you at the end the remaining moles would be 0.2 moles. Now these are your equilibrium moles, right? The total moles of gas are, focus on the equilibrium moles, it's 0.8, right? That's the total moles. So you can find the mole fraction, like out of this total, like all this gas combined is exerting a pressure of 2 atmosphere. So try and do the rest of the question. Like first thing is write the expression for Kp. Okay, everyone try and solve this. Okay, you have you have Kp and write the expression for Kp and then go and start figuring out the pressures due to the NO2 gas and the N2O4 gas. Try and do this, okay? And whatever you do, just send it in, even if it's wrong. Okay, we're going to practice a lot more questions in the next class. Okay, is this clear so far?
Yes.
So see, we'll continue with this in the next class. Try and solve this. Send me the solution to this. Okay, take care. Allah Hafiz.